Welcome to the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line, chat line. We're here in the Diversified Lenders studio. Carson, how you doing today, man?
It's Friday, Rob. It's Friday.
Friday. Has Jordan Montgomery been signed by the Rangers yet?
Not that I've seen.
I saw that was rumored last week, and it never happened. I wonder if it will.
Yep. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I haven't seen Rangers Twitter blowing up that they've signed him, so. Or a tweet from Evan Wren. Or Evan Grant. Yeah, Evan Grant.
Yeah. So a week ago, Marcus Stroman reportedly headed to the Yankees. Could be good news for those wanting to see Jordan Montgomery return to Texas.
Which is funny that the Yankees would want Jordan Montgomery now, since they DFA'd him 2 years ago.
Yeah. Red Sox looking at Jordan Montgomery. The Cubs looking at Jordan Montgomery, so it's not locked in yet.
Yeah, I think obviously Chicago's wanting to go for another top of the rotation guy because they lost Marcus Stroman. Did the Cubs, so with Stroman he was their number one guy last year, going to New York now. You've signed two big ones for the Yankees. Of course, this doesn't always work for the Yankees, but they've signed Juan Soto, or traded for Juan Soto, and gotten Marcus Stroman out of free agency. So, and Marcus Stroman is one of those guys too, where he can be really good sometimes, and he can also be really, really bad. I saw him on a really good day last year when I was in Chicago. Watched him play the Tampa Bay Rays, and Tampa Bay was in first place at the time, and really just cruising. And Memorial Day weekend, and Marcus Stroman threw a one-hitter. And it was a cheap one hit. I could have saw a no-hitter, and I don't like Marcus Stroman at all. But I think he's way too. I mean, I'm all for being cocky on the baseball field. He's way too much for me. He talks too much.
Yeah,
just play the game, man.
And as a pitcher, pitchers usually don't get the benefit of the doubt to talk from the mound.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer and Marcus Stroman are two of the guys that, listen, they have great talent. They're very talented. I respect their craft and how much work they put into it. Don't get me wrong, but just do your job, man. I don't need the extra antics. You can get fired up after you get a big out. That's not a big issue, but talking and smacking and all that stuff, just shut up, pitch.
Well, you don't have to worry about Trevor Bauer anymore.
Sure. Well, he's playing in the NPB.
The Japanese league or the Korean league. Whatever.
He was shoving in the Japanese, in the NPB, in the Nippon Professional League last year.
Let's see. That's enough Major League Baseball talk. I do think there's a chance the Rangers sign Montgomery. I saw the other day that they this was not part of our pre-show meeting, that they were going to have a good year financially, but they have some uncertainties currently, but they're projected to have a good year, but that's what's holding everything up to not go all in on this offseason. Yeah. I think it's just because they won the World Series, they're dragging their feet, which I guess I get, but I don't really get. Why not go all in with the window and try to win another one? I also don't quite understand Jordan Montgomery, who is so good in Texas. I mean, I guess you're trying to capitalize for your future and your family, trying to get a 3 or 4 year deal. And if Texas doesn't want to do it, you're not going to sign here. But it makes sense to me just to double down since you're good at this ballpark.
There's no hurt. And to me, I get what you're saying, and I get what Jordan Montgomery is wanting, is setting up, your family for life, literally, if you sign a $6 or $7 million contract over the 3-year period. I mean, that's life-changing money. He's made good money in the big leagues, though, so it's not like he's hurting for cash. Why not just sign a 1-year deal now and work on an extension as the season progresses, right? And then if you can't come to terms, then you have another good year, then you are going to get a nice deal. That's what teams are weary of, though, is that this guy just had a mediocre I would say a bit above average season in St. Louis before he came to Texas. He wasn't just this MVP guy in St. Louis, right? Like he wasn't. Um, but then he comes to Texas and he pitches like he's a top of the line number 1, number 2 starter in a rotation, which he was in the playoffs. So if you can do that consistently over a full entire year on a 1-year contract, then you'll have the pick of the litter of what you want the next season, because that shows continuous success. That shows, continuous, a good way to get you can get guys out on a continual basis and do it at a very high rate.
Right.
He just hasn't been able to show that continuity in his career, which is why I think teams are reluctant to pay him what he really thinks that he should get. So I think that's a lot to be said about that. Now, don't get me wrong, Jordan Montgomery was fantastic, absolutely fantastic in the playoffs and down the stretch for the Rangers. He was great, but he wasn't just this lights out dude in St. Louis before he came to Texas either. That's why the Cardinals were okay with trading him.
Yeah.
And he got DFA'd from the Yankees a year ago, 2 years ago.
Wait long enough and people overpay they.
Yeah, so, I mean, look at Martin Perez. They overpaid Martin Perez after he had a great year the year before, and he was nothing last year.
Yeah.
So they don't want to fall into that same again.
Yeah. Okay. Move on from Major League Baseball. Though I do think there was another story this week. Oh, yeah, it was did you see the Bally Sports news?
No, I did not.
Okay, so Amazon Prime is taking over Bally Sports streaming, I think. But the Rangers were not a part of Bally Sports streaming. So I don't think you'll be able to watch the Rangers on Amazon Prime. It was all very confusing.
Yeah, the Rangers never came to a deal with Bally. Yeah.
I think the Mavericks and maybe the Stars will be on Amazon Prime next year and as part of a Bally Sports streaming service.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Rangers will be a part of it, even though the Rangers logo was on the graphic. Anyways, that's a non-story to me because it doesn't affect the Rangers yet. Okay. Texas Tech basketball losing to Houston this week. No shame in that. They're the number 1 team in the world, according to Ken Palm and the net. I will say this: they were 1-2 in Big 12 play, which I think hurt Texas Tech. They were desperate, and it showed. They were not going to lose this game, and they put it on Texas Tech.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, Rob. If you win a game by 1, if you win a game by 40 in this conference, wins are wins, losses are losses. If you lost by 30 or 27 like you did on Wednesday, or you lost by 7, it's still a loss. It's still the same exact thing. Nobody cares at the end of the day how you lost this basketball game, right? And the way that the basketball game played out, Houston just outplayed you. I mean, you didn't shoot it well at all, to be honest. They did. Jamal Shed had a career day. He had 20, I don't know how many points, 29 points, almost 30 points. He had 10 assists. He almost had a triple-double. That's how good Jamal Shed was on Wednesday. And sometimes whenever you run into a guy like that, and he's one of those dudes too, Rob, and they talked about it in the pregame, did friend for Shilla and his and his partner, is that Houston needs to come out and they need to be hungry. And Shed came out and he was hungry from the get-go. Seemed like every time they needed a big shot early in that ball game, Shed was the one who knocked it down, especially from 3.
Yep.
And when you run into a buzzsaw like that, like you said, Houston finally gets back home to play in the Big 12 again. They're 1-2. They go 0-2 on a road trip, and they needed a win really, really bad. Texas Tech, that's a game on the schedule that you chalked up to an L in October. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. I don't care what it looked like, how you lost. Sometimes you go on the road in the Big 12 and you get blown out. I mean, it just happens. I mean, ask Kansas. Ask any of these teams. Kansas came into the USA a few years back on a big Monday, and it was billed as a great one and got ran out of the gym. So and Texas Tech did that to 3 ranked teams in a row in 3 weeks in a row that year. So it just happens in this conference, man. It happens in good basketball conference. The Big Ten, it happens too. So yeah, it just is what it is. I don't read anything into the loss other than Houston was better than you on Wednesday. And I think Houston's a better basketball team than you, period. So it's not like it should have surprised anybody. And I saw some people, tech Twitter is what tech Twitter is. And some people were upset with the way that the effort and the try at the end of the game and how many lackadaisical turnovers there were and all this stuff. And it just, Houston did what they wanted to do with you, and they sped you up and they made you do what they wanted to do. And just an all around great performance by the Houston Cougars and Kelvin Sampson, who is one of the best coaches that we've seen in college basketball. If it wasn't for that scandal at Indiana, Kelvin Sampson would probably be like Bill Self and be in the Hall of Fame and still coaching.
Yeah. Still at Indiana, probably.
And still at Indiana. Yeah. And being really good at Indiana.
Yeah. What, 20, 25 years now? How long ago was that? Anyways.
In the 2000s.
We'll say this. You bury the box score, you move on. It happens in the Big 12. I don't think you got embarrassed. You look like you belonged on the court at times. You just weren't as tough. I thought Houston had more of an edge. But you won the right way, you lost the right way, right? That's what.
Yeah, and you got to feel good about what you saw from like a guy like Kerwin Walton. I thought he played great. I thought he played outstanding. He knocked down big shots, or especially early to keep you in the ball game and give you a lead a couple times. Warren Washington didn't have his greatest game. Every time you got it down low, Houston just absolutely wore you out, took the ball away from you down low. Darian Williams played all right. But yeah, Houston just outplayed you, man. That's all there is. There's not a whole lot left to be said, right? It is what it is. And you move on from it, and you get a chance at home now on a Saturday. You really just have to turn and burn that game.
Yeah.
I don't know that you even look at the game film too much. You look at it a little bit to show, we don't want to do this whenever they're attacking the paint. When we get the ball in the paint and they're attacking us, we've got to be able to get the ball in the paint and the kick out because they're triple teaming you every time. Like, that's a teaching moment. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of teach to be done on that film other than don't let Jamal Shed get open when he's hot.
Well, there's not a whole lot of teams like Houston.
No.
So, I mean, I think
Houston's a Final Four contender.
I think TCU has a similar roster build. I think Baylor always has a similar roster build. Big, long, athletic.
Yeah, guys. Athletic, yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, you're not looking at that Houston tape seeing what BYU is going to do to you. BYU is a totally different animal. So looking forward to BYU. And I don't think you caught my Rodney Terry joke in there when you were when I interrupted you. But Coach Gass winning the right way, losing the right way.
Yeah.
You don't. What was it? What did he say? Rodney Terry said, "We don't go into games hoping to win. We go in expecting to win." You gave up a 16-point lead and lost. The other team threw their horns down, which they've been doing for 30 years against USF. And now you're upset about it. He screams at him in the line, in the handshake line.
Yeah.
And doubles down in the press conference. How soft is Rodney Terry?
You want to talk about classless? What he did in the handshake line is classless.
Ridiculous.
And for Johnny Dawkins, who's the head coach at UCF, for me, if an opposing, I know you and Rodney Terry are good friends, right? Like, they've known each other for a while. If someone talks to my players like that, if he's my friend, he's still going to get me in his face.
Yeah.
Like, you don't talk to my players like that. I don't talk to your players. That's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, it goes back to that, what happened a week or so ago, Nate Oates shoving a player from the opposing team that his team was playing at Alabama. We all know Nate Oates is a tool bag, but he shoves another player from Alabama or from the team that Alabama was playing because he was in his player's face. Like, you can't do that. That's not how it works, man. You don't coach that kid. You coach your own kids. And our buddy Fran Fischilla, who still owes us a slice of pizza, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Whenever he comes to town on Saturday, maybe we'll get him on that. But he posted something today that said, he learned a long time ago that you can only coach one team. You can't coach two teams. You can't coach your team and their team. That's not how it works. Like you see what they do and you put it in the back of your mind and you put it away and you deal with that internally with your team. And the only way you deal with that, Rob, is guess what? You win. You win the ball game. No, nobody does that if you win. You can't be a sore loser when you lose. And all of that happen. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you want to be at the University of Texas, that comes with the scrutiny of being the most hated team in the conference. I don't care what you think you are. If you do things the right way, first of all, you're at the University of Texas. I know you don't. Second of all, just get over it, man. If you don't want them to do it, beat them, especially on your home floor.
Exactly.
Like, beat them.
Hold a 16-point lead.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is UCF, 2 wins in this conference over Kansas and Texas. They were down 16 and came back in both of them.
Wow.
That's crazy, right? Why? So, the key is don't get up on UCF by 16 until like 8 minutes left in the ball game. Then you can probably pull away.
Yeah, make it a game.
Yeah, that UCF, they're underdogs, man. I think they love that mentality, and I think Texas Tech to some extent loves that mentality too. You have a few teams in this conference that love to play with the underdog mentality. Kansas State, another one of those. We saw their backs were against the wall early this week too, and they beat Baylor at home in a great game where Baylor kind of gave it away to Kansas State. So, it is what it is in this conference. It's just tough to get wins, and when you get wins, celebrate them, man. And I don't care how you celebrate them. If Texas comes into the USA and beats Texas Tech, they can do whatever they want. I mean, barring, destroying the place, but if they want to put their guns down or, shoot guns in the air like this, beat them next time, man.
Yeah.
It may piss you off, but don't say anything. You can't do anything about it. You didn't win, period.
Yeah. That would rile up the fan base, but I think Coach Gass could get through the handshake line before he said anything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure he would handle it privately. But again, as you said earlier, coach your guys. That's all. That's the only team you can coach. You're not coaching everybody else's guys.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to some coaching. Well, let's talk about BYU a little bit, I guess. BYU veteran roster.
Yeah.
As per usual at BYU, they can shoot. A little bit hit or miss so far. People were talking about they were frauds early in Big 12 play. They've kind of bounced back. Thoughts on that specific game this weekend, and then we'll kind of look at the rest of the Big 12.
BYU is what they've been for I don't know how many years now. It just seems like they always have some sharp shooters on the outside. Obviously they don't have a Jimmer Fredette kind of guy that you had back in the big years for BYU when they were making the pushes in the NCAA tournament because he was just a transcendent player. But you got guys that can shoot. You're kind of a prototypical like old school Big Ten team, really, because you got some big guys like a Creighton or a Big East team like Creighton usually is. Teams like that. BYU doesn't fit the mold of like this athletic Big 12 and all those things, but these guys can shoot. They're a good basketball team. They're fundamentally sound. They're well coached. They shoot it well from three. They're like close to a 40% team from three, I believe. So you've got to keep them in check, and you've got to keep them from getting second chance opportunities. That's where Houston really got you the other night too, was second chance opportunities on the offensive end and the kick out after offensive rebound. So you've got to limit second chance opportunities against this team, and they're going to be guard heavy. I mean, they're not big. Warren Washington can have a really big night if you want him to. Darian Williams can enforce his will against this team, I think, with how big and strong and what he can do from the outside in. So I really look at Texas Tech as the more athletic team, but if BYU shoots it well from the outside, then they have a chance to beat anybody on any night. So that's the way I look at it. If Kerwin Walton has the same kind of game he had in Houston, I think you're going to be just fine in Lubbock, but it's going to be a dogfight for a full 40 minutes. That's for sure. BYU is not going to go away easily, and they need Big 12 wins just as much as anybody because of how they started the Big 12 slate as well. So
Yep.
They're sitting there at what 2-2 in conference play right now, and you're 3-1. So you could be tied at the top of the Big 12 at 3-1. Or if Kansas, it's funny because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 3-1 teams in the Big 12 right now. By the end of the day on Saturday, you could have a bunch of 3-2 teams.
Yep.
So that's how crazy this league is. You could have a big time tie for the top of the conference. I think Kansas will win this weekend and be 4-1 in conference play, but
Baylor probably winning in Austin, but
yeah,
stranger things have happened. Texas is still a decent team, I think, but Baylor has the opportunity to be 4-1 as well.
Yeah. And I'll guarantee you one thing: Baylor's guys will put their horns down when they win.
Yeah,
it's a guarantee.
Especially in the
everybody that goes in there now will do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, as they should.
Yeah, as they should. As is your right.
BYU Baylor. Not BYU Baylor. BYU Texas Tech, a top 25 matchup. The game cast is 49-51 in favor of BYU. I would assume BYU is going to be 2-point favorite here in Lubbock as the 20th ranked team. Texas Tech, the 25th ranked team, both 14-3, 2-2 in conference play is BYU, 3-1 is Texas Tech. They've beaten Iowa State. They hammered Iowa State. They beat UCF. And then they lost to Baylor and Cincinnati. Texas Tech beating Texas, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and then losing to Houston. Boy, that Texas win looking worse and worse every day.
Kansas State win looks pretty good, though. They beat Baylor.
Yeah, it does. And I think it will. You text me after that game that Kansas State just makes it ugly. And they certainly do.
I think, that's what Jerome Tang's teams do. That's what they did last year. Make it ugly, make you turn the ball over and speed you up and make you do things that you normally wouldn't do against any other teams. And they do a great job of it. And they're so long and lanky too. And, Tyler Perry didn't play great against Baylor, but he played good enough. He knocked down a big shot and late and hit a couple free throws late that helped them get into overtime and win a ball game. So, Kansas State, it's not pretty what they do on the basketball floor, but I thought that win and the way that they played Baylor gives Texas Tech a leg up as far as RPI goes late in the season. It's a better win on paper now with Kansas State beating a top 25 Baylor team as well. So I don't care if it is at home. Kansas State's not a team that is going to be a pushover in this conference by any means. Neither is Baylor, neither is Texas Tech, I don't think there is a pushover in this conference. I thought UCF might be one, but they are not either. So
maybe Oklahoma State. Now
Oklahoma State, yeah.
West Virginia has a win in the conference, but
against Texas at home.
Yeah, outside of Morgantown, I think they'll be pretty loose with it as well.
You're right though. Texas just 1-3 in conference, man. I don't know that anybody in Austin saw that coming, to be honest with you.
No, and Rodney Terry, a lot of people said they shouldn't hire him last year.
Yeah.
Man, they look right.
Yeah, the people that said it look right, that's for sure. He's having a rough start to Big 12 play, but we've seen it in the past too, where you can start out 1-3 in the Big 12 and you can end up at 9-9 and be in the tournament and make a run. And that's all that matters is getting to that. And with the Big 12, you have 8 ranked teams in the top 25. If you have 8 ranked teams in the top 25, that means to me, you're at least getting 9 or 10. You could very easily get 9 or 10 teams in the big dance, which is insane to say.
Now, you know me, I'm not generally a hater. Okay. Even with Texas, they are what they are. I'm not a pile-on guy. But you know how awesome it would be to get 12 teams like the Big Ten does in the NCAA tournament and Texas to be the one that doesn't get in?
That doesn't get in.
12 of 14.
Texas and Oklahoma State are the two left
out in the cold. 12 of 14 and Texas is at home.
That would be great. Even if 10 of the 14 are in the big dance and Texas is one of the 4 that gets left at home, that would just be sweet justice, right?
That would
Don't
be
let the door kick you or the good Lord split you. Yeah.
that would be hilarious. I'm
Yeah.
seeing some smoke here. Is Sports Illustrated, did they fold?
No idea. Is that on the Twitters, the X app?
Look, for everybody's saying rest in peace, Sports Illustrated, but I don't.
Maybe they just posted
Wow, breaking!
oh,
The entire staff of Sports Illustrated will be fired
wow.
per Richard Deitch.
Wow.
Mass layoffs at Sports Illustrated. Wow.
Wow. I mean, with
Yeah.
the way that everything is streaming, nobody's buying magazine subscriptions anymore.
Did you
Nobody
see?
cares about the swimsuit issue anymore either. You can just Google that.
Did you see the Michigan national championship cover from Sports
No.
Illustrated?
See, I don't subscribe to Sports
It
Illustrated.
was. I just saw it on Twitter.
Okay.
It was brutal.
Was it bad?
It was so bad. It was like a seventh grader who has only learned Illustrated or whatever service you're using, Canva, for this semester, put it together. Like, this is their very first magazine cover of all time. It was awful. There's nothing going on. You got to look it up. It's just a guy
Yeah, I did.
poorly cut
It's,
out in the middle with text.
it's just Blake
I could have
Corum.
made, I could have made that.
Yeah, it's just a picture of Blake Corum running
Yeah.
the football between guys, and yeah,
Some junior high kid could have made that for their junior high football team.
that's like my beginner's lesson on Photoshop right there. Yeah, that's what that.
Oh, you could have done that on Canva. You don't even need Photoshop,
Yeah, good point.
which I love
Who knows
Canva.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty.
The worst one. Hold on. There was a worse one.
There's a worse one.
Maybe I saw one that was just bad. Hold on. We're totally throwing off the show here. Sports Illustrated, man. Were you subscribed to Sports Illustrated or SI Kids as a young adult?
Oh yeah, as a kid. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The magazine sales, you always lock up Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
ESPN the magazine was my favorite, but
Yeah, I liked ESPN the magazine, but I like Sports Illustrated too. I liked a lot of the where they highlighted the high school athletes and then would do that story in the back was always one of my favorites to read. But it was kind of like a Tom Rinaldi story before Tom Rinaldi became a thing, at College Game Day, now at Fox Sports. But yeah, Sports Illustrated going out of business. What a day.
what a day. Let's look at the rest.
It's only a matter of time. It's kind of like newspapers today in today's day and age. If you're not just keeping up with your subscriptions online, then you're probably not a newspaper anymore either.
Probably. I don't know where I saw that other cover. Maybe I saw somebody making fun of the Sports Illustrated cover. I don't know. Anyways, the rest of the Big 12 this weekend, Baylor at Texas. No lines yet because let me look in the app, the line app. But any thoughts on?
Yeah, because it's not 24 hours. Baylor at Texas. Baylor wins. It could be one of those games though where Texas feels backed into a corner, but Baylor also coming off of a loss at Kansas State. Baylor needs a win too. So, Baylor's sitting at 3-1 in conference play. They could be in a tie in first place, even with that loss at Kansas State, with a win on Saturday. So,
Texas
for Baylor,
game.
Texas is favored.
Yeah, -1. That line stinks.
Oh wow,
that line stinks.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that line unless you really are just gonna throw cash on Baylor, but you're still not getting anything out of it.
Yeah,
either way.
Yeah, it's -110.
It's a toss-up. Yeah.
All right, Oklahoma, Cincinnati. Oklahoma +2.5 in Cincinnati.
I got to watch Cincinnati for the first time really the other day. on Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever night that was that they played. And I think that Cincinnati is a better basketball team than what I originally thought. But I think Oklahoma is playing good basketball. So I'd take Oklahoma even on the road in the shoe at Cincinnati. I used to be a huge Cincinnati Bearcat fan when Kenyon Martin and those guys were at Cincinnati, when Bob Huggins. I've always been a Huggy Bear fan, man. Love those Bob Huggins teams at Cincinnati. Those are fun teams to watch, weren't they?
Yeah, always.
They had swag. They had swag.
Cincinnati, kind of a long time, I won't say powerhouse, but they've been in the mix.
A name, yeah. A college basketball name. Like nobody cared about their football team until they got good in the last few years. Yeah. But Cincinnati basketball has always been there. Like I said, in the 1990s and early 2000s, those Kenyon Martin teams and when Bob Huggins was there, Cincinnati was fun to watch, man. Any Bob Huggins team was fun to watch. Even the West Virginia Bob Huggins teams were fun to watch. I didn't like them a lot, but because he had some tool sheds on his team. Maybe just one guy that I didn't like that much. But yeah, I liked watching Bob Huggins teams play basketball and loved the Cincinnati Bearcats back in the day.
Iowa State, TCU minus 3.5. This is where I just like the Cincinnati game. You just kind of lean home team and hope for the best. But both of these are opportunities for the road team to get kind of a victory on the road.
Yeah, and this one to me is one of the better games in the conference other than Texas Tech BYU, because TCU is a really good basketball team. Iowa State going on the road, a really solid basketball team as well. So, and you're talking about an Iowa State team who needs a win too on the road. So I think if you want to be a top tier seed in the NCAA tournament, I think Iowa State is an NCAA tournament team. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to be a top 5, seed in the NCAA tournament, you've got to get road wins, and a road win at TCU will help that a lot if you're Iowa State, because I think Hilton Coliseum's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to lose a game if you're Iowa State. So if you can go on the road, win games like at TCU, that's big. And it would be a really good win for an Iowa State club for sure.
On the starting line chat line, Texas is cooked. Rodney Terry knows he's done after this season. Certainly feels that way.
Is Texas going to go get Chris Beard back with the success he's having in Ole Miss this year?
Has enough time passed? I think so. Would Chris Beard go back? He kind of got.
I don't know.
He kind of got
jibbed.
Yeah, I was trying to think how to say it because there were charges at the time when he got dismissed.
Yeah.
They got dropped. Let's see. UCF Houston plus 16.5.
Houston. Yeah. Houston is playing like a team that's pissed off. And when you get Houston like that, and UCF's coming off that. So the last time UCF beat Kansas, the next game they lose by 24-25. So UCF is that one hit. Then we're just going to get our butts kicked. And then we're going to try and figure it out again. But Houston. And Houston knows UCF better than anybody else in this conference.
Yeah.
Except for Cincinnati. Obviously, those three teams know each other really well because they're in the American together. So I don't think there's any way that UCF pulls off an upset against Houston. No.
Strong words.
They might cover, but they won't beat them.
Kansas in Morgantown. Kansas minus 11.
Yeah, give me Kansas. I'll take Kansas all day in that minus 11.
I'll take West Virginia to cover, but just for the crazy sake.
I think the best thing that happened to Kansas was losing at UCF.
You know what? I've got a complaint. Baylor, Texas on ESPN. Oklahoma, top 15 team against Cincinnati, ESPN Plus.
Yeah, Big 12 now.
Iowa State,
ridiculous.
TCU, top 25 matchup on ESPNU.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have ESPNU. I watched the Texas Tech Houston game on the game tracker.
Yeah.
UCF Houston, ESPN Plus. Kansas, West Virginia, ESPN Plus. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, ESPN Plus. And then ESPN2, BYU, Texas Tech. There's 2 games on national television, ESPN and ESPN2, all day out of 7 games.
That's the one. that's the one thing that Brett Yormark has done is they've put so much into that Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. And I think the reason that is because the Big 12 gets a portion of what of course, I don't know how you do that, how someone's signing up for ESPN Plus because they want to watch their Big 12 team play. But anyways, yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said about teams can only play on the major markets so many times in the year, and then they're going to play on the Big 12 Now network so many times a year. So I think it has a lot to do with that. But yeah, I agree. The Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country. Why do you only have 3 games on a Saturday that are nationally televised, and really just 2 that are on the 2 big
Yeah.
networks, ESPN and
I don't
ESPN?
count ESPNU. I don't. ESPNU is ESPN3, just the website. A lot of people
you
don't
can
have
watch it on ESPN Plus if it's on ESPNU. That's how I watch it. Luckily, my Hulu subscription comes with ESPN Plus, so.
But you can't watch it on ESPN Plus. If you're subscribed to ESPN Plus, you can't get ESPNU. You have to have it on your Hulu subscription.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I get it.
On Hulu, yeah. You can watch it on the ESPN app if you're logged in, because I don't have it on my Optimum.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's just me being a loser. Score for, I think we talked about all the games. Did I miss one? I kind of got to, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Kansas State, there's no spread there yet.
No, Kansas State.
BYU, Texas Tech doesn't have a spread yet either, but again, I think it'll be -2 BYU. I want to score for that game.
Oh man. I hate doing this, but it's just the way I feel in my gut. And I said it early in the week that Texas Tech was 3-0 in conference and could come out of this next 4-game stretch 3-4. I thought the one real chance you have is at home here against BYU, but I think BYU 67, Texas Tech 63. BYU struggled early in the Big 12. I think they're hungry for Big 12 wins, and this would be a big road win for BYU. It's tough to go into Lubbock and win, and the committee knows that. I think a lot of people know that it's tough to go into Lubbock and win. So, and I think there'll be a great crowd at the USA. So it's going to be tough for BYU, but I think they shoot it just well enough. And they're just more fundamentally sound, and they don't turn it over as much as Texas Tech and win 67-63.
I'm going to give you a score, but not teams who correlate to those scores. 82-78. 82-70. Somebody's winning 82-78. I'm not going to tell you who.
Alan Corbin says on the chat line, Tech 80, BYU 72.
No longer a Utahian homer.
No longer. He's back in the good state of Texas.
Great state.
Great state. It is a great state now. We've taken over control of our own perimeter.
All right. Who else? What else were we going to talk about today? Moving on from Big 12 basketball.
Oh, the NFL. I mean, you got a big divisional round this weekend in the NFL as well.
Well, let's do a pit stop here in college football. Arizona getting a new head coach.
Nah, it wasn't their best. I don't think it was the best option of a hire, to be honest.
Oh, I thought they should have hired Carroll. The offensive coordinator kept him there. I think you retained some roster. Now, it looks like they're retaining a lot of roster anyways. But Jed Fish, in other news, has taken the entire offensive staff and moved them on. So on the playback, all you have is Fafita for now.
For now, just wait till next week.
You've only lost 2 players in the portal so far. Maybe they want to see what Brennan is, but if Brennan if he has a quarterback, I think Arizona will be fine in the Big 12, even with him. But if you lose your quarterback, you're cooked. You're cooked. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. If Noah Fafita does not return to Arizona, you are not anywhere near the team that you were this year, and not anywhere near the team that you can be next season in 2024. He's a talented, athletic, young, experienced now quarterback, and there's not anybody else on that roster, and there's nobody else that you're going to get in the transfer portal at this late of juncture that's going to be better and more equipped than Noah Fafita is at quarterback for Arizona. It's just not going to happen. I mean, he feels like he is one of those kids that could end up being a Heisman Trophy kind of kid as his junior year comes, right? Not next year as a sophomore, but as a junior, I truly think he has that ability. And I really think that Arizona would have had the ability to go to the playoff and be one of those 12 teams as a Big 12 champion next year if Fafita stays, even with Brent Brennan as the head coach. So because they have so much talent returning, and if you don't lose a ton of that to the transfer portal, then I think you're fine. But it all hinges if Noah Fafita leaves, and I think, and that's true too. If Fafita goes, I think a lot of other guys will go as well. So it's kind of a domino effect in that sense. The head coach goes first, now the offensive staff. Now, if the quarterback goes, you're going to see 2 or more receivers leave, maybe 1 or 2 offensive linemen, they're going to leave as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And now the ball is really in Noah Fafita's court of what this Arizona team is going to look like next year. Does he stay? Then I think you're going to be pretty good. Even with Brent Brennan coming in, I don't like the hire if I'm Arizona, to be honest. Like you said, I think Carroll would have been good. Coach Nansen, that was the defensive coordinator a year ago at Arizona that moved on to Texas this past year. The players had a petition signed. Even some offensive players were on it that had a thing signed that said Arizona should hire him. Yep. So those 2 guys that were in the top of my mind as being guys that I would have hired. And then G.J. Kinney was kind of the long shot guy that was the hot name. He's kind of the hot commodity, but I don't know what the buyout was at Texas State, but G.J. Kinney has been phenomenal and where he's been the last 2 years. I don't know that he has the pedigree, obviously, but I think you would have kept Fafita if Kinney would have shown up on campus because he has that quarterback, that knowledge. I mean, he was with the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. He's been around it. He knows how to coach. I think G.J. Kinney is the next big name in college football coaching. And if you're Arizona, you don't have a lot of money. You don't have to pay a guy like that a lot of money. I mean, Texas State just gave him a 5 or 10-year contract. I don't know what the extension was for, like $30 million. So, yeah, I think they missed the ball on this.
A ginormous contract for them.
Yeah, huge. And he'll be gone in 2 years.
Pulling a Jeff Traylor there or a Lane Kiffin maybe.
And Jeff Traylor just picked up a big transfer portal commitment from an Alabama linebacker this week as well. So, and a guy that played in a few games in Alabama this year. So a big pickup for UTSA. And, now that they're in the American, I think Jeff Traylor is in a spot where he can stay at UTSA and he can pick and choose what his dream job is. And maybe UTSA is his dream job. Maybe he loves it there so much that he stays at UTSA and just, runs business out of San Antonio for the rest of his career. I don't know. And UTSA has the funds. Probably they can pay him a little bit and keep him around. So we'll see. But, it's just one of those deals where I think Arizona really missed on this coaching because we talked about it on Monday. Brent Brennan, his recruiting base these last few years has been the state of California. And Arizona now, that state of California, we talked about it, is gone for the most part. None of those kids are going to be as willing to come play for Arizona. You don't play any games in the state of California anymore unless you promise them that you will find a non-conference game in which you're going to have to schedule Cal because UCLA and USC and those types aren't going to play anymore. You're going to have to schedule Cal or Stanford in a non-conference.
Or San Diego State or some non-power team.
Yeah, San Jose State again. San Jose State ain't going to schedule them because they don't want Brent Brennan coming back. So, yeah, it's just one of those deals. But you're only playing 1 game in the state of California, where in the Pac-12 you're playing at least 2 to 3 and sometimes, 4 games in the state of California. So
if you're going non you're going non-power 5, it's probably a home and home, and they're playing in Arizona anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one every
It
other.
just it ruins a recruiting base, and he doesn't have that pull in the Big 12 conference recruiting bases, right? He doesn't have anything. And I don't know how many players, if you looked at San Jose State's roster, which I should have done before the show, I didn't think about it. Did they have, I don't know if they had anybody from a Big 12 state on their roster. I would guess maybe a handful, like 5 at the most. 5, right? I think most of their talent comes from the state of California. A couple from their quarterback was from Hawaii. Or actually, he was a transfer from Hawaii. So
Yeah.
it just, I don't think that Brent Brennan was the hire that Arizona thinks he is. To be honest with you, I just don't.
Does Arizona count as a Big
I
12?
mean, I guess they are a Big 12 school now. It's a Big 12 state now.
Bunch of
no, it
Hawaii,
wouldn't.
California, one
Yeah.
Arizona kid. Las Vegas is the furthest east so far.
That's not a Big 12 school. That's not a Big 12 state either.
I'm just saying. Besides, I'm just
Yeah.
saying recruits that are not from California.
Right.
One from Arizona, one from. We got a Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. That's not a Big 12 state, but not California. American Samoa, not a Big 12 territory.
Hawaii.
California, Illinois. No.
Big 10 state.
Hawaii, Illinois.
So yeah, a handful of dudes.
No, but none from Texas.
Yeah. None from Texas. None.
Washington, Utah, Nevada. Yeah. Probably 90% California. Which is not surprising there.
No, not surprising, but it just means that he hasn't been in the coaches' offices of anybody's coaches' offices in the state of Texas, Oklahoma, wherever else. It is what it is at this point. I don't know. And so basically he's going to have to start recruiting a whole new crop of talent that he's never looked at, never seen before, never met their high school coaches. I think that puts Arizona at a disadvantage because coaches are going to advise their kids to go to someone whom they trust, right? That's why Joey McGuire gets some of these guys, because these high school coaches trust this dude with everything they've got. That's why Jeff Traylor's able to get some recruits that nobody else at UTSA would be able to get, because he has such a great bond with the high school coaches in Texas. So, Steve Sarkisian did a great job of coming into the job at the University of Texas and hiring some people that have Texas high school coaching backgrounds. And Steve Sarkisian has done a great job, but he's the head coach at the University of Texas, which gives you a great opportunity in the state of Texas, right? So it's different if you're from Arizona. Kyle Whittingham at Utah has a great relationship with every single pretty much big high school football coach in the state of Texas. Kyle Whittingham is a favorite among a bunch of Texas high school football coaches, and he coaches in Utah because he realized early in his career and early at Utah that you've got to be able to go recruit the best state in the country with the high school talent and be able to pull them to Utah. Now he's got that ability to go to the state of Texas and say, hey man, look, we're going to play teams in the state of Texas a lot. We're going to be in your home state a lot now. We're going to be close to home, especially if you're a Dallas area kid. Like, we're going to play at Oklahoma State. That's a 4-hour trip for you. We're going to play at Texas Tech. We're going to play at TCU. We're going to play at Houston. That's a 3.5-hour trip, right? Those are big recruiting moments for guys like that. And Brent Brennan can go in and do the same thing, but he has no relationship with these people. So I think that's a big thing that some people don't see. If you're just looking at what his record is as a head coach, you're looking at what San Jose State did. They were pretty good in the Mountain West Conference the past couple of years. I don't think it's a good hire for Arizona. I really don't. I think they missed the ball on this one. And I think Arizona is going to pay for hiring Brent Brennan. I really do.
All right. Some NFL jobs open as well. The Cowboys job not open. He'll stick with Mike McCarthy, will Jerry Jones. The Falcons looking heavily at Bill Belichick. This might sound crazy, but that would be an awful hire.
I agree.
Bill Belichick is washed. What in the last 5 years says he's not? Hiring Matt Patricia after the Lions debacle and not making him the defensive coordinator, but the offensive play caller.
Because his son was the defensive coordinator. Yeah.
Yeah, putting his son in charge of the defense, rehiring Joe Judge onto your staff after the Giants debacle. What? At what point do you say Bill Belichick has lost his fastball?
At this point right here.
4 straight seasons, they've not been competitive for the division. Of course, the Bills have been good, but this year you got overtaken by Miami and nearly the Jets, if not
Miami and Buffalo. Yeah.
so.
I mean, when Miami is a better franchise than you are,
Yeah,
as New England, as one of the best dynasties, if not the best dynasty we've ever seen in professional sports, as a team that was highly sought after by every player in the NFL wanted to play for the Patriots when they were going through their those years. It's no longer that team anymore. When Miami has overtaken you, and the New York Jets are somewhat now overtaking you as a franchise in that division. Buffalo is the best franchise in that division right now as far as what they have in their locker room and everything else. It was a time you can tell Bill Belichick was tired, right? He looks tired. He looks like he's kind of just at the point where I don't know that I would hire him. I would give him a year off and then decide if he needs a job or not. But obviously, Atlanta needs a head coach now. But if you're Atlanta, like how long does Bill Belichick have on his career? Like 4 or 5 years max before he truly retires. It just doesn't make any sense to me why they would want to hire a guy who's not going to be there for a long time. Like, what's he going to do? Come in and help you win a Super Bowl right off the bat? No, you don't have the pieces to do that. You don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, Desmond Ritter's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. They're not even the best team, not even the third, fourth best team in that conference. So
I mean,
division.
Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson 15 years ago, 10 years ago would have been ecstatic to have Bill Belichick because he uses running backs and tight ends. But today, without Tom Brady, what is he? He's washed. Other openings, an interview today taking place for the Bears offensive coordinator. Do you know who it was?
Yes, the king himself.
Clifford Kingsbury. And who has he worked with this season closely? Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
The Bears, the number 1 overall pick. Caleb Williams does not want to sign with the Bears. But what if we hire your quarterbacks coach from USC that worked with you all year? Would you come with us now?
Maybe that was the stipulation. Maybe that's what Caleb Williams told him. Hey, hire Cliff Kingsbury. I'll think about it.
Interesting.
Right? I mean, that's what it looks like from the outside.
Sure. Oh, yeah. That's what I drew immediately.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that on the radio yesterday that Cliff Kingsbury is interviewing for the Bears job tomorrow, the offensive coordinator's job, I said, Caleb Williams. He wants Cliff to be in Chicago. If Cliff's in Chicago, Caleb will think about being the making the Bears not trade away their first round draft pick, their first pick overall, because he'll play for Cliff. Because he knows that Cliff's offense will be Caleb Williams can do whatever he wants. And Caleb Williams can be who he wants to be. Like, give him the freedom of whatever he wants to do on the offensive side. And that is what Cliff's offense is. It's a quarterback-friendly, quarterback's choice offense. That's literally what Cliff Kingsbury's offense is. That's why Kyler Murray liked his offense.
Yeah.
To an extent. He just didn't study it. And that's why he didn't study it, because he knew he could do whatever he wanted.
And would Caleb Williams study?
No. I've heard the same thing about him at USC. He didn't study a whole lot of film. Didn't need to. He's a freelance quarterback.
The Seahawks offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, also drawing interest from teams. Former Seattle.
Talk about 2 completely different operations right there in Cliff Kingsbury and that young man.
Well, in Waldron, you probably keep Justin Fields. Cliff, you
Yeah.
go with Caleb Williams. I don't know. Maybe Caleb Williams is the goal regardless. And maybe you just hire him or draft him kicking and screaming and see what you can do. We've seen rookies sit out. We've seen rookies force trades, not in a long time. But we've even seen number 1 overall picks force trades.
Yeah, who was the last one that forced a trade? Eli Manning. Peyton Manning did the same thing.
Eli.
Eli was the last one that I can remember doing it.
Peyton didn't do that, did he? I think it was Eli.
Yeah, that's right. It was Eli. Peyton got drafted by the Colts.
Yeah. It's Eli and Phillip Rivers that did.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. That's right. Yeah.
That did the switcheroo.
Yeah. Worked out for Eli.
Worked out for Phillip Rivers, too.
Phillip Rivers had a good career. He just didn't get a Super Bowl. Yeah.
And he got to live in San Diego for so many years.
Had a great career.
Can't complain, really.
Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer?
24 kids. No. At some point, you got to draw the line.
Beat Texas Tech one year, too.
2 years, right?
Yeah, I think you beat him 1 year and you lost to him 1 year as well. I think you split that.
I think did you beat Eli Manning twice? Or did you split with Eli, too?
You might have split with Eli, too. Yeah. Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback at NC State. Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the divisional round. There's some more coaching news, but not really in our wheelhouse. Let's go to Saturday, the first game, ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus. See, they do it right. They show it everywhere. My team, the Houston Texans versus the Baltimore Ravens. The best quarterback in the NFL, CJ Stroud, against the running back, Lamar Jackson, future MVP. Texans, Ravens. Ravens minus 9.5. Hammer the Texans.
Yeah.
Hammer them. I think.
And I think it's going to come down to a field goal to win it. I think that both quarterbacks this is my most favorite matchup of the NFL playoffs this year so far, obviously, until you get, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar, or, CJ Stroud or Lamar in the AFC Championship game. But this quarterback battle is one of the top-notch ones, and CJ Stroud is going to show a lot, right? Like, he is the offensive rookie of the year in the AFC. There's no doubt about it. If he doesn't get a concussion and couldn't play for a week, he might be in the conversation for the MVP with how well he played this year. I mean, he set records that even Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, guys like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, all the greats never did, right? He's done things that these guys have never done. He almost had a perfect passer rating in the wild card round. That's how good CJ Stroud was in the first round of the playoffs. He's a rookie. He shouldn't be this good. It shouldn't be this easy, but it is. And he's missing his number one wide receiver who's been out for 4 or 5 weeks now. Yeah, so it just, CJ Stroud is a special player, man. And this kid is going to be something to watch for the next few years of his career, the rest of his career, really. He's got the swagger, the personality of what Patrick Mahomes had when he first came bursting onto the scene. Now, Patrick had a year that he didn't play, obviously. He had a redshirt freshman year, Patrick did. CJ Stroud's come in and done this in his true freshman year in the NFL, right? He had nobody to learn from or to teach him the ropes. He got thrown into the fire. Him and D'Amico Ryans both, year one, and look what they've done. Get to the AFC divisional round of the playoffs. Nobody thought this would happen. Nobody. I've been a Texans fan ever since their inception because I was a big Oilers fan when I was a kid, and I've always liked the Texans. I've always wanted the Texans to be good. They never have been, and it's fun to see them actually having a good team, a coach that seems like the locker room loves him, seems like the locker room is behind him for the first time. You haven't seen that in the Texans locker room in a very, very long time, since maybe Romeo Crennel had a good team back in, I don't remember what year that was. So CJ Stroud is a generational talent. I think everybody's going to love watching this kid play for a very long time in the NFL. Is he on the same level as Patrick Mahomes? Yet to be seen, obviously, but he's on that trajectory. He's on the trajectory to be one of the greats
So you're taking
that we've seen in this NFL. I'm taking the Texans. Yes. Yeah. Very long way of saying I'm taking the Texans.
Not to rush you there. Packers, 49ers. The 49ers also minus 9.5, and I'm also hammering plus 9.5 with the Packers.
Jordan Love was really good last week. Can he be really good against this defensive front from the 49ers? I don't know because he was under pressure so much this year. Played well under pressure last week. I like the 49ers. I'd take the 49ers to minus 9.5. I really like the 49ers. I really do, especially at home.
Chiefs, Bills, maybe in the snow again. Buffalo minus 2.5 at home. Closest line of the weekend.
Buffalo won the early season matchup in Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. On the backwards pass offsides call.
Right. This one's tough for me. Give me Buffalo at home. Yeah, I hate to do it for Pat, but I just don't think that Kansas City, if they play the way they did last week, they will win. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But they haven't shown that they can consistently be that team. So they've been so inconsistent this year. Buffalo is playing their best football. Ed Oliver's been a beast as of late. That defensive front's really good. Give me Buffalo. It's supposed to be 20 degrees and cloudy.
Buffalo. Yeah. This one's close. The Chiefs have not won or played in a road playoff game since, I don't know, probably in the Alex Smith era. If they even
I was going to say Patrick never has.
Maybe even further. Did Alex Smith win a road playoff? Has Andy Reid won a road playoff game with the Chiefs? I don't know. I'm sure they snuck in as a wild card, but I don't think Alex Smith won too many playoff games. That's why they moved on from him. They've won the division a billion times in a row. This is such an unfamiliar territory. Does Patrick Mahomes go full Michael Jordan this week and say they don't believe in me? They don't think I can do it. They've never believed in me. It just pulls the complete fabricated storylines out of his ass to get motivated. We'll see. I hope the Chiefs win. I will be rooting for the Chiefs, but I would also take the Bills minus 2.5. I just think it lines up for Patrick to have an off year here in the playoffs.
Yep, it does.
Bucks, Lions. I mean, this is part of the Final Four in the NFC. This is what you have: Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, elite quarterback matchup. Both quarterbacks over 4,000 yards. Jared Goff, 4,500, 30 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. David Montgomery, 1,000 yards rushing, the Iowa State legend. Bucks, Lions, Arizona State running back on the other side. Speaking of Big 12 legends. Detroit minus 6.5. I would take them to win. Do they cover? I have no idea. This matchup is completely out of left field for me. The Eagles suck. The Bucks did what I thought they would do last weekend. The Eagles were so bad down the stretch. It does not make sense to me that this is a Final Four matchup in the I'm just still so mad at the Dallas Cowboys, but the NFC Championship game is being played with the 49ers and the Packers. This game, I don't know. I'll take the Lions just because, but it wouldn't surprise me at all for Baker Mayfield and the Bucks to go in to Detroit and win this one. By the way, reporters, they play in a dome. You don't have to acclimate for the cold.
How dumb of a question was that? Like that, you should get your media credentials swiped for that one. Like, Get out.
Apparently, that was a news reporter that was there because the sports staff was short on hands. So
Oh
she
man.
was out of
See,
play. But still, that was one of the worst questions I've heard.
golly, do your research first. Like, it's not hard. Um, Tampa lost to Detroit 20-6 early in the year. That was in October. Baker Mayfield was absolutely horrendous. Threw a pick, no touchdowns. Looked like Baker Mayfield should look on Sunday. So, and Jared Goff threw for 2 touchdowns, 300 plus yards. I like Dan Campbell in Detroit. Give me Dan Campbell in Detroit. I'll never choose Baker Mayfield. I don't know how the Eagles lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the way they did. Nick Sirianni should be fired. He should have been fired already. If he's not fired by Monday, the Eagles have Jeffrey Lurie has made a tremendous mistake.
Yeah. I was playing my nephew's nephew, not just one of them, in Madden months ago. And we did random teams, and he got the 49ers and I got the Lions. And I said, hey, it's the NFC Championship game as a joke. It could happen.
The 49ers may get the easiest road into the Super Bowl that we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, and they should have had it last year, and all their quarterbacks got hurt, and Christian McCaffrey had to lose the game.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
That's I think that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all we got. I mean, we're getting closer to baseball season. Tech ranked in the top 25 in the D1 baseball rankings that came out this week.
Closer
Fun to see.
25 than 1.
Yeah, we'll get more into the baseball talk as we get closer, but it's ramping up.
Hey, the Lady Raiders had a ranked win this week.
Yeah, big ranked win for the Lady Raiders against a really good Iowa State team.
And that's
a big win for Coach Gurley.
That's one of those teams you just haven't beaten in the last decade.
Right.
Yeah. You don't beat Iowa State. So good for them. And you beat Kansas. You beat Kansas. You beat Iowa State. You got some Big 12 wins under your belt. I think you beat Houston too.
Yeah, they're 3-3 in Big 12 play.
Keep pace.
Yeah.
Keep pace. You got to go 500. You got to punch up a couple of more times here to finish the year and maybe get in the March Madness. You're on track for the NIT again for sure, but it would be a much bigger story to be in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think even in the women's game in the Big 12, if you can go 9-9 with a few good wins, especially that win against Iowa State, maybe beat a Baylor or somebody else. Kansas beat Baylor by 20. So if you can do that, then you got a chance of getting in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, just any postseason basketball is good for this team. Jazz Shavers, Riley McKinney, Bailey Maupin, those players played really well against Iowa State, and it's a fun team to watch. I watched the whole game, and I enjoy watching the Lady Raiders play.
Right in the middle of the Big 12 right now.
Yeah.
I guess middle bottom half, right under Baylor. Kansas State, Iowa State, number 2 in the Big 12. Their one conference loss, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Baylor, then Texas Tech. Houston, 2-4. You had to win over them. Kansas, you had to win over them. They're 2-4. Cincinnati, TCU, BYU, UCF. Should I say TCU? Have you seen what's going on with TCU?
Yeah, they're having open tryouts this week.
They forfeited a week of games.
Yeah, they're having open tryouts for walk-ons to come in. Full-time student. Any full-time student can come try out this weekend.
And they're not refunding tickets.
I guess the Cavender twin signing didn't help.
Well, she's sitting out, right? Or is she playing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't keep up with TC. I saw that on a Twitter post the other day. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, well, they were at Miami, NIL Queens.
Right. They were signed by like WWE, I think, at one point. Yeah.
That's one of those
ambassadors.
Lexi Gordon was also signed.
Yeah.
That's not a new thing. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got. Have a good weekend.
Hey, mark your calendar. This was 20 minutes ago. Oh, what is this? What is this? No, I guess it makes sense with construction. Let me just preface that. The spring game, the red-black game in Midland this year.
Mm.
Don't
Wasn't
like
it in Midland last year?
No, it
Or
was
no,
at
was it Lowry Field
Lowry
last year?
Field.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
April 20th in Midland. Construction, I get it. You played a whole season there, though. I don't. What's new? I guess they don't want to pause the construction for a week
Yeah.
to do the spring game. You just got to pause it for a day, but
Yeah.
I guess I get it. I guess
I think they want the next time people walk into the Jones, it's whenever everything's done.
Yeah, couldn't
Like
do
that's what they
Lowry.
want.
Couldn't do Lowry again. That Midland. All right, give the Midland people one weekend, I guess. I will not be at the. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to drive to Midland though. That's ridiculous. I'll probably see you in Midland. We'll see. We'll see. I've not missed a red flag game. I don't know, in 10 years.
Yeah.
They've well, no, because Cliff had one.
One in Cliff's year. There was one in Midland.
Well, but Cliff did it in Midland and the Star, and then had the third one in Lubbock, and then canceled it for weather.
Yeah.
And it was sunny and 75 that day. They had the weather.
Yeah.
So
it's West Texas, baby.
Anyways, all right, that really is all I have.
Peace.
All right, bye.